Hello, boils and ghouls. You are now tuned in to PVD Horror Podcast. Pleasant screams.
Hey everybody, welcome to PVD Horror. My name is Dave and I'm joined with my co-host Brandon. And today we have a special interview with two very great, and I'm trying to think of a good word, just in-your-face filmmakers. I can't wait to talk about this film. So we're going to be talking Traumatika with Maxime Rancon and Pierre Tsigaridis. I tried. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I already butchered it, but they are co-writers, co-producers, and Pierre also directed, did cinematography, and was editor for the film Traumatika. So thank you guys for joining.
Thank you for having us, man.
No problem. So now the film premiered at Fright Fest last year and is now set for a theatrical release on September 12th. What has this journey been like for both of you, and how does it feel to finally share your collaborative work with the world?
Oh man, like we're so excited. You know, when we were at Fright Fest, we couldn't imagine that the movie was going to come out in theaters in America, and have such a wide release. It's still like so selected release, but it's like exceeding our expectations. So, you know, we're so stoked, man. We're so like, this is exactly why we made the movie. You know, it's like to have it experienced in a big screen in the dark, and we were so stoked, man. We're really excited. We hope, you know, people are gonna connect with the film.
Yeah. Now, just even for us watching it from, you know, on our laptops and everything like that, like I need to see this film on the big screen. So definitely, you guys definitely did a great job. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
You know, one of the things I just wanted to also ask you guys, like being in Fright Fest is turning into such a big platform, like as a festival for films like this to, you know, get better recognition. Like the way that they're selecting films, we've been able to talk to a lot of filmmakers recently about this festival, but I'm just really impressed with the films they're choosing for it. So to be a part of that and you know, must feel special, because I'm really impressed with the films that are coming out of Fright Fest the last couple of years.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we were so happy to have such a good slot at Fright Fest. We were screened, you know, in the big screen, 1,000-seat theater at the Odeon, Leicester Square, and prime time slot. Like it was on a Saturday, 8 p.m., full house. So it was like beyond our expectations, and the you know, the movie, people reacted to it. You know, there was like a lot of lots of strong reactions, lots of scare and laughter, because there's some humor in the film as well. And we were, it was such a nice boost for the movie, that what the movie needed. I think it helped us tremendously, and now we're here.
Yeah,
that's cool. So you guys have worked together previously on a film called Two Witches, which you both co-wrote along with Christina Klebe, who genre fans will know from Rob Zombie's Halloween. So I'm assuming you guys enjoyed working together in order to team up again, right?
Yeah, dude.
So
we're having great fun. Like we were saying, they were asking us yesterday, because we had like the LA premiere last night with Fangoria, and they were asking us, and we're like, it came from having the same references, and, you know, both wanting to make stories and being horror fans, and so it's always a very, very fun playground to work on, you know.
Did you guys know each other prior to Two Witches? Were you already kind of familiar with each other, or did you kind of connect on that project?
Well, we knew each other. Like we met when we both moved to LA in 2016, something like
2016.
Yeah. So we were friends from that period. But it ended up making us do Two Witches together, which was so fun.
That's awesome. So you're both French filmmakers, right?
Yeah. Which is random, because we didn't know each other in France.
Yeah.
But...
Okay.
See, that's wild to me right there. So I wanted to ask you about that influence of being both, French filmmakers. Do you think that influence is seen in your work within like any specific like style or structural like aspects that an American viewer might pick up?
Yeah, I would say so. Personally, um, influenced by French cinema, but also European cinema, because growing up in Europe, we're also exposed to just European cinema in general, not only French. So in that sense, I would say yes. I would say the filmmaking in Europe is not as maybe I would say rigid as it can be in America when it comes to like screenwriting and filmmaking, and like how a set is put together and how like a production works. I think it's more loose. It's more, you know, it's yeah. So I think, I mean, we were told that kind of transpires in our films. We are in America and we're trying to make American films. Like, I mean, we are making films, but we still have like a lot of American references. But it is true that I love like Gaspar Noé or Lars von Trier or some maybe more would say underground filmmakers here that in Europe are huge. So. And it's the same thing when it comes to horror, like in France, we were exposed to, I think, Korean films way, way before America was.
Okay.
Like I was watching Korean films in the early 2000s,
Same.
where I think in America, no one really knew them that much at the time. So we've been watching movies from all over the place, growing up in Europe. And then now I think maybe our films, kind of like goes everywhere, and we don't think of, rules. There's no rules when we do movies, and that's the beauty of also indie filmmaking. We just go every direction possible.
Yeah, we were talking last night about French extremity as well, like the movement. Definitely, we have like very similar references within that film movement, and at the same time wanting to make big American movies, so it's like kind of like two things that are completely going like to some degree the opposite direction. And I feel like we end up with something like in the middle, which is a mix of like the desire of making a big movie and the fact that we can tackle maybe the harsher subject matters in a different way, or not being afraid of mixing like some humor and terrifying moments sometimes, so it's kind of like an explosion of flavor.
I like that you guys just referenced that, because I totally see that influence, like that French extremity influence in Traumatika particularly. And you're right, it's like taken out of context, it's going to hit people because it's like we're not in that movement anymore, right? Those films were probably over a decade ago. I'm trying to remember some of the years of those films, but this film is going to hit people really hard, and I hope that like they're ready for it, because it's going to have like a polarizing response, which I love. I think that's great, because I mean that's cinema, right? That's the point of cinema. We all walk away with our own different experience to it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, well, it's going to have some polarizing, that I can already assure you, because it had already some polarizing reactions at Fright Fest. In fact, it was probably one of the movies that had the most polarizing like opinions. So, but like you said, I think with a movie like this, it's kind of bound to happen. And the movies from the French extremity, for example, not that I want to compare necessarily our work to the level of those movies, but they were divisive already. So, we were kind of like, on paper, it was already going to be divisive, regardless of our execution,
Now, Pierre, you have always been fascinated by the darker side of things. What elements draw you both closer to the horror genre?
Man, when I was a kid, I used to lock myself in closets and look for witches and demons. I don't know. At this point now, I think it's probably a fascination when I was a kid that I can't even really put my finger on. I think I'm just always, I think it's the excitement of something. I don't know. Some people just like villains more than good characters in movies. They're more interesting. The reaction they trigger in storytelling, I think, is always more exciting. It's more like it raises more questions. It raises more interest. For me, it's all about like the thrill and I don't know. It's like cathartic too, but I don't know. I've always been like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't think of a particular reason why I think I was just made that way. I think it's just more fun. Let's put it this way, right?
Yeah.
Such a fun genre to work in, really. Like, splashing stuff, blood everywhere, trying to scare and get reactions out of people. Like, and we've been horror fans since we're kids also, like, watching, going to the video rental store, and, like we have that one in France that we used to call Video Future.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the horror aspect, the horror genre is so visually striking, and I think it has a bad rep in the art world, especially in France. Like it's kind of like secondary art, but I always thought the opposite, where I thought like the covers of the posters from like horror films were always like so, like I don't know, well thought of, like creative and
Visually striking.
Yeah. And and it's always been like my kind of art,
Yeah. Just kind of to your point, I think here we're having like that moment where horror is finally getting some of the credit it deserves and some of the notoriety. We're finally getting like these big budget horror films, and they're getting praise and notice, which is great. So yeah, I think it's been that way here as well for a long time, but we're finally kind of getting to that point where people are giving it its due, and it's becoming like a recognized piece of art instead of just
and we have to fight so hard.
That little dirty secret they would sweep under the rug before. So it's nice.
I'm so excited when movies like Weapons or stuff like like movies like this are coming out and doing so well. Like it's just such a good spotlight for the genre, and now for Weapons, especially for Traumatika, because it's just going to come out right after, and people are now like really excited to watch new horror movies. So it's an opportunity for us as well, I think.
Absolutely. It's a very exciting time for the genre. So we're absolutely thrilled for it. And Traumatika is, like I said, it's going to really, hit people. And I think people are going to respond with really visceral feelings. What do you guys think viewers can expect, similar or different, if they are familiar with like your previous film, Two Witches, when they go see Traumatika?
Good question. I think they can expect the similar approach to horror and humor. I would say like some unexpected, turns, some really unapologetic, nasty stuff, I think they can expect probably more shocking stuff. So a lot more scare. Definitely, I think Traumatika is scarier than Two Witches, for sure. So I think they can expect, hopefully, everything they liked in Two Witches, up a notch with Traumatika.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you guys? Oh, go ahead. You can finish. You have something.
No, I'm saying I agree totally.
Okay.
Like it's very similar in the universe, and also like Pierre filming as well. Gives it like this identity, this visual identity, like very saturated, like palettes of colors, and even if the subject matter of Traumatika is significantly darker than Two Witches, you'll find some of these like humoristic highlights, like very bright and saturated moments, and we just, we just love it. So
yeah. Now, can you guys give us a breakdown, like a synopsis of the film?
Yeah. The film it's basically this kid who is abducted by this possessed woman, and it's all of the trauma that what's the word? You go.
I was gonna say unfold.
Yeah. Sorry, someone was walking by. Yeah, it's a genre blending film where is going to take you from demonic possession to slasher with a little bit of sprinkle of found footage and true crime. Like, you know, I don't want to say too much about it. I think it's better the less you know about it, the better it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what was it like to have that decision, like when you guys were first promoting the film, to like not release a trailer because it was like so scary? How was that? What was that decision like?
Well, it was something we talked about with Saban originally, and we wanted to also be able to start teasing the movie. We always wanted to make a little teaser. We might have some more for you guys also, like along the way, but it's just creatively we thought it would be a good idea, a cool hook to just like hook people with a disclaimer at the beginning of the teaser, and show what the reviews had been so far and give a little snippet at the end of the video. And I think they did that great. But obviously we're so excited to release the trailer. It was just a cool moment, and we love the trailer. We think it looks so cool, and so we're excited about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, Pierre, given your musical background, what was your experience like also working on the film soundtrack?
Well, on Traumatika, I actually didn't really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was like if one thing I did was like I had come up with a piano theme that then our composer Gio like revamped.
Okay.
But my involvement was not nearly as big as on Two Witches, because on Two Witches I was playing the piano along with like a few moments that I had done. But on this one, it was more Gio, so I'm not going to take any credit of it.
I mean, there
Max,
was a little bit of involvement. I mean, beyond the soundtrack, like with all the movie is so sensorial that we were extremely involved still with, you know, like everything that's like Follies and any type of little ADRs or like things like this. Like it was that we were very, very. It was a lot of work too. Part of the film, but yeah.
But you, Max, you do a few screams at the end of
we
end song.
Yeah,
we have like a metal song at the end.
Yeah, we recomposed the metal song for the rolling credits. We're supposed to have like another band like doing it, and it didn't pan out, so we had to change the song at the last minute, and so we ended up doing screamo stuff back to 2012. You know,
really, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That was fun.
Were you guys a little like apprehensive to do it, or were you like, no, let's just do it?
Oh, fuck no, let's go.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. We're both musicians, like, and we both played like alternative, like, you know, metal and you know, and heavy stuff like growing up. So yeah, no, that was just a cool little thing to do, you know.
Yeah, it's a little perk right there. I like that.
Yeah.
So I don't like you said, Pierre, I don't want to like give away anything, but I'm just gonna say this, like this movie involves a lot of themes about trauma, right?
Yeah.
And I mean Traumatika, duh. So, you know, but it's like different levels of trauma, different types of trauma. I love in the like one of the opening scenes, it talks about 5 different types of trauma that children might face, right? Very serious topic. And like also, I think we're exploring generational trauma, right? How trauma can get passed down from one generation to the next, and all that good stuff. What made you guys want to tackle such like a dark topic like trauma? And, you know, what did you do any extra like research about trauma impacts on people or trauma effects in order to kind of make sure that you were like getting this right?
Yeah, we did. Well, I think when you brainstorm with making like stories and within the horror genre, you think about horrible things happening to people. And I think when we were brainstorming, the trauma aspect quickly happened, because if you think about it, it's kind of always an underlying tone in everything.
Sure.
In every horror movie. The only one that I can't think of was like the original Halloween, where it's like, oh, he's just evil and that's it. But other than that, usually it's always like something happened and everybody wants to know why. You know, there's like a reason to that evil. What is the root of evil? Is it something that you inherit, or is it something that happens to you? And so it's like this kind of like universal question that everybody loves to ask or try to answer. So for us, we were like, okay, let's try to tackle that and do a metaphor as like a demonic entity that basically embodies all of these traumas, and so we would get rid of the religious aspect, and it's not like the devil is just the devil because it's mean. It's like, basically, it's just like a metaphor to tackle those horrible subjects within the horror genre with a demon. Yeah, that's pretty much how we build everything together, I would say. Yeah.
Because there's a sprinkle of supernatural, like in the movie. Also, I think that, like, at the beginning when we're trying to find about, about what the story was going to be about, we're wondering like what's scary, right? And like some of the things that are super scary are actually things that happen to people. And what is more scary than a kid getting hurt or abused or something like this? And so I think like that was part of the reflection at the beginning, also, to just like really like, there's things that can be real and happen in the real world every day that, are scarier than ghost, like, going through a window or something like this,
Exactly. And in real life, when people are, arrested and everything, everybody wants to know why. And there's usually a reason. We were looking at data, for example, of like people incarcerated, like I think it's like crazy numbers, like 97% of people who commit horrible things have had childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And so there is a crazy correlation between crime and past horrible things that happen to people. So it was just a way to tackle this sensitive and very serious subject with just, let's put a demon that is the cause of everything, but it's just a metaphor of the world.
Yeah. And one of the things is there's also this like element of like complex trauma, which is when the traumas are repeated over and over again versus just like this one bad thing that happened to you. And I think we see how like the impact that can have on someone long term is like significantly more impactful than just not to minimize a one trauma experience, but like when it's repeated, that's some of that stuff is just so hard to undo. And you were mentioning how like real life stuff can be just as scary as like things we see in horror movies. One of the movies that always gave me a really like icky feeling, but I loved it, was Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. And
that's one of my favorite films.
Well, I actually thought of that film in a very early scene in this movie because it gave me the same icky feeling. And
what scene, if I may ask?
Well, it kind of has to do with like when, we find out who Bob really is and that he's like,
and what he's done to Laura.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the same thing with Sean's character in this movie.
So
that you picked that.
I immediately thought of that because it gave me the same feeling, and then I wanted to bring that up today just to like kind of share that thought. So
don't get me started on Twin Peaks. I think, but Bob is this. I like to say that to everyone. Bob is the scariest, I think, for me, movie, a TV character ever. And I think they went so far with it, and they got away with it, thankfully. And it's so good. And it's like, this is like a villain that you don't really see, but yet everything happens because of him. And he's demonic. And the thing with Traumatika is that we wanted to go a little further visually to actually make things still, make them feel lighter, because had we shown the same scenes without the demon and replacing the demon with just the figure of the father, for example, the movie would have been like 10 times worse, I think, personally.
It probably would have been too much for some people.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it is already
just not being entertainment at this point. It would have been just like nasty for just being nasty. So this is where the demon comes in, and this is where we decided, because initially we had an idea of making a demon looking more like an abusive father and make it like not completely demonic, like more human looking, but still demonic, but not like fully committing to the demonic aspect. And then we were like, I think people are not we're gonna lose some audience with this, and we would rather just use the more of like the demonic tropes that people think are satisfying, and we can tell exactly the same message, and actually we can tell it more effectively because it's more like a creature rather than a man. And we already have Sean, who, you know, Sean O'Brien, who plays the father, who is so creepy that
He really is. Yeah.
you know, that we basically get the best of both worlds, because we still have the human horrible man, and we have the demon to justify everything. But Sean is creepier than the demon in my opinion.
There's a scene early where he's on the couch, and just the interaction is just so uncomfortable. I already had a feeling I knew where it was going before it even went there.
Yeah.
And he didn't even like say anything yet.
Yeah, there's not a safe environment in this movie. If you think it's gonna go in a bad place, it's 100% going
Probably
there.
gonna go there. Yeah. Yep.
So like, did you know, I hear like the intentionality you guys had around that, because it is like, obviously trauma is sensitive, and you know, you want to be able to tell a story, but you also don't want people leaving there feeling, you know, triggered or, you know, whatever. So like, how much concern did you have around that the entire time you're making that film? Like, how, like, obviously you made certain choices, but like, was it a concern even after it was done? Like, how are people going to respond to this?
Well, I mean, people are going to be triggered. Don't get me wrong. Some people are going to be triggered. So trigger warning. Yeah, that's not for everyone. But I think it goes with pretty much every movie in the horror genre. It's never for everyone. It's still like niche, right? It's still for people who like that. And within people who like that, there are still going to be people who are not going to like it. I think for the most disturbing scenes of Traumatika, that's what I was saying yesterday. I think also a lot of the scenes ended up being more disturbing than they were planned, I think, because we executed with the actors in a way that Sean and Rebecca knew each other, and they were very comfortable doing really difficult scenes together. And it kind of, their performances kind of like exceeded the expectation, and like the what's it called, the results, the effect ended up being like stronger, I think, that what we were even aiming at initially. And I think in the edit, when I was putting stuff together, I was like, oh, this is pretty heavy shit. It's like, it's getting heavier and heavier. And I remember even when we were, you know, like cutting the movie and like kind of like having people watch it, we were open to, you know, maybe cutting, editing things maybe lighter. But then some people were like, no, just make it fucking, you know, nasty like that, because the shots are there, the performance is there, the execution is there. So why not just go like pretty heavy on this, you know?
Yeah.
We did end up cutting some stuff too in the end, you know. There's
we still cut a few things. We still cut a few things, yeah.
We thought about it the whole time. Also, we knew like shooting some stuff at some point, you're like, oof, how this is gonna look, like how do people are gonna react to this. And
because the scene, for example, the most disturbing scene could have been done. I had a wide shot, like the wide shot that plus a fade to black, or initially I was going to pan the camera. I had a shot where the camera pans away from what happens, and it would have, you know, been just as evocative of what's going on. But then Rebecca was like, why don't you just do this and that? And I was like, yeah, I have this camera coverage in mind also. She was like, well, just do that too, you know? And then it ended up being just better, you know, more of a punch in the gut, you know, in the stomach, sorry. So,
you know, now with you guys both being so hands-on with this project, looking back, what are some things that you both learned from, you know, working on this project that you can, you know, push into your future films?
Oh, good question. I don't know. I think I have to reflect more on this, but
we worked with kids on this movie is one of the things, which was like on the productions, you know, side of things, like obviously that's some kind of challenge. location where we were shooting, like this house was not gonna say unsafe, but definitely not safe for kids, you know, and we
Okay.
had a bunch of them like running around in there. So that's something that, you know, I feel like was definitely a challenge in terms of production, and the takeaway that the takeaway from it is like it's worth it, but you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know. I haven't asked myself that question too much, but depending on what a next project would be, but it's either trying to keep the scare and shock value of the film, but maybe try to inject it in something maybe more mainstream. So keep it and maybe be a little less rough around the edges on a few things, or just double down and do something in the same vein, just as indie, and then just work on everything that worked and just try to like amplify it even more.
Yeah.
You know?
I love the idea though that you guys had with trying to explore a theme that you know impacts almost everybody. Everybody has gone through some level of trauma, some more severe than others, obviously.
Yeah.
But also it is at the core of almost every film, every horror story,
Yeah.
right? So I love that idea of you just exploring it even more and playing with it a little bit, making it something that can be super sensitive, but also kind of highlighting different, you know, ways to portray it, different, you know, like kind of genre bending, adding a little humor and, you know, lightness to a story that could be very dark. I love all those different ways you played with it. I also love some of the casting choices you made here. You have one of our former guests, but I'm like, we're huge fans of AJ Bowen in this film.
Yeah.
We love him. You know, like Sean O'Brien, you were saying, it was amazing. Like just some great casting choices. So I think like also, you know, that was the way that it was casted was very smart. Everybody's performance was stellar. So
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, we casted them, like I like to say, like kind of organically. It's like who's game, you know, who wants to do it. We have like ideas, and then we ask if, you know, we can reach out to these people, but it's really like friends or people that we know. You know, it's very it's a very social casting, I would say, rather than you know, rather than a professional casting through a casting director type of process. You know, the way we make films, like, yeah, we're very open to, because it's like indie filmmaking, so nothing is very rigid. You know, it's not like military style hierarchy set where what, you have to be in your place and that's it, and you have to stick to a plan that was pre-approved before. So whoever has like a good idea will be heard, or at least, you know, or we can take into account things. And Rebecca did a lot of that. She did a lot of that. She would, and she would ask for an extra take that would actually be very, very significantly better than the other take. So I would always listen to what she has to say. One day she was like, "Oh, can we shoot this scene another day because I feel like I'm gonna do better tomorrow instead of today." You know, things like on a big set, you would be like, "Not happening." You know, we have to do it now. But with us, we were like, we were really, especially with difficult scenes that there is in this movie. I think it's important to really,
give her space.
Give her space, and what's it called? What's the word? Prioritize the human aspect of filmmaking rather than the technical aspect of filmmaking. You know,
absolutely, yeah. Max, Pierre, thank you guys for joining us. Can you share with our listeners where they can find you guys on social media or wherever else you're present, so they can kind of, check out upcoming projects or whatever else you guys are working on?
Yeah.
Well, Instagram, yeah.
My Instagram is Pierre Tsiga.
Maxime Rancon, like my name, pretty much. It's pretty much our names. If you start typing our names in there,
we're gonna pop
out.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you guys for having us. That was cool.
Thank you guys. Everybody,
Thank you
make
so
sure
much, guys.
you check out Traumatika when it's in your area. And this is one you definitely
September 12th.
Yeah, September 12th, you said?
Yeah.
There is exclusive showings happening now, I believe, right?
Well, there was one last night.
Last night in LA, yeah.
Yep. All right.
It was the Fangoria exclusive, screening.
Awesome. So September 12th, make sure you check it out and get ready. Brace yourselves. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. See ya.
Game over.